Having lived in a foreign country for many years, where oddly enough, everybody speaks a foreign language, I have a great admiration for people who immigrate to the United States and have to learn English as their second language. English is not an easy language to learn. Unlike Spanish or Italian, what you see is what you get. I mean, you see it, it's pronounced that way. And there are rules, and they actually follow their rules. English has none of that. English has none of that. And so I'm always very impressed when people come and learn English as their second language to be here. And if you'll indulge me, I don't do this very often, but I did find a little poem that talks about this. And it'll lead into what I'm going to talk about in just a second. But it's entitled, "English is a Funny Language." It says, "We begin with a box, and the plural is boxes. But the plural of ox becomes oxen, not oxes. One fowl is a goose, and two are called geese, yet the plural of moose should never be meese. You may find a lone mouse or a nest full of mice, yet the plural of house is houses, not heists. If the plural of man is always called men, why shouldn't the plural of pen be called pen? If I speak of my foot and I show you my feet and I give you a boot, would a pair be called beat? If one is a tooth and a whole set is teeth, then why shouldn't the plural of booth be called beath? Then one may be that, and two would be those, then one would be that, and three would be those, yet hat in the plural would never be hose, and the plural of cat is cats and not coes. We speak of a brother and also of brethren, but although we say mother, we never say methrin. Then the masculine pronouns are he, his, and him, but imagine the feminine, she, shiz, and chim. So there you go. English is a strange language. Once in high school, my AP English course, the teacher, a very kind man, very learned man, was always looking for ways to expand our vocabulary. And he noticed that one of our classmates was very expansive in her preferences, particularly in boys. So he said to her, "Laura, you certainly have Catholic tastes." And class erupted in laughter. And he's like, "What?" And she says, "Dr. Jenkins, I'm Jewish." And, she laughed as she said it. It was really funny. And, of course, we all knew. And he explained very kindly that Catholic, in the sense that he was using it, simply meant universal or all-encompassing. And as I mentioned last week, it's this sense of universality and expansiveness that led G.K. Chesterton to once describe the Catholic Church as, "Here comes everybody." And if you think about it, that's a lot about what the readings are about today. This is very different than it was in the early days of salvation history. As we read in the Old Testament, when things started out, it was a very exclusive relationship between God and the chosen people. There are us, and then those that are not us. And it was important. You never to forget who you were was the greatest sin. But as time passed, and we see the prophets proclaiming, as Isaiah does in today's first reading, how, starting with Israel, the Lord will eventually gather all the nations to himself. And even Jesus talks about from the north, south, the east, and the west, all of these coming. And Jesus is very clear. Yes, it is all about relationship. And it only makes sense if we think about it in terms of relationship with God. Jesus is very clear that there is no preference of seniority in the kingdom of God. Thus, he says at the very end, some are last who will be first, some who are first will be last. Basically, it doesn't matter when you arrive at the reunion. Once you walk through the door, you are family. It's about relationship. And that being said, then if we look at the word Catholic, it's good to assess if it is here comes everybody. Another way of looking at the word is to say, okay, how universal is it? How present is it in all aspects of my life? Not just certain parts of my life. Am I truly Catholic in my life? It's a good question we need to ask all of ourselves from time to time. Namely, does our Catholic faith inform every part of our life or just certain parts of it? Is it a garment we put on and take off at will, or is it part and parcel of who we are? I would argue the second, at least having been here in this parish for 3 years, I would say it is very much a part of people's lives. But we need to take back and assess that from time to time, so don't get lazy. Here's some questions, sort of a little examination of conscience for all of us. You know, at home, do we stop what we're doing every day and gather for prayer? Someplace in the house. I said there needs to be a place and a time in the house where prayer happens. Does that happen every day? It doesn't have to be strange and outrageous, but it needs to happen. So do we gather for prayer as a household? Sometime, and besides grace over meals. Second, at work. Do our coworkers know, or school, or wherever you spend a lot of your time? Where you volunteer, whatever. Do your coworkers, do your colleagues, your school classmates, do they know that you're Catholic? If only by the values that you espouse, that you emanate, that you bring to the workplace, how you treat people, how you express yourselves in discussions and other things. I'm not saying wear yes, I don't mind if you wear your faith on your sleeve, but to invite people into knowing things in a different way. Speaking when we need to speak, listening when we need to listen. And then let's move it outside. Let's go a little larger then, in society. You know, this is an election year. How much does Catholic social teaching inform how we vote on the candidates and the issues? For one, do you even know the 7 pillars of Catholic social teaching? Are you familiar with them? If not, it's real easy. You just Google it. I mean, there is no reason to be ignorant in the world today. If you have a smartphone or you got access to a computer or you want to come and use the one here at the parish, I'll let you. Just Google 7 pillars of Catholic social teaching or just Catholic social teaching, and boom, up it'll pop. And you'll go through each one of those. One of the things you'll notice as you go through the 7 pillars of Catholic social teaching is that no political party lines up with all of them or embraces all of them. So as Catholics, we have to be very discerning. So know the teachings of the church, know the candidates, know where they stand on the issues, and know what the issues are, and vote an informed conscience. I guess for myself, whether it's at home or at work or in society or any part of our life, I guess my prayer for all of us is that our faith would always be truly Catholic, that we would be truly Catholic, not just in name, but in fact and in action.